Okay, we're at the front. This is kind of a portico here. Maybe not really a portico because the sides open like that. But what, you know, it kind of sounds nice. So right here, where the perpendicular wall meets the roof covering, when it comes down here, there should be kick-out flashing right there. The kick-out flashing would keep the water from pouring straight off of this down the brickwork. And if you look up inside of here in our soffit, there's a big hole for whatever reason. It's big enough for a squirrel or a rat to get into. It serves no purpose, the hole. We move on along here. We've got a nice Greek arch, that's fine. And then brick is a wonderful building material, okay? It's fireproof. This house could burn down and we'd be able to reuse the brick. And it's a great insulator. But a characteristic of brick is that it's porous. So when the lawn sprinkler system hits it, the water goes right through. It really does. The rain hits it, it goes right through. Architecture is regional. We know that. We design this brick. We build it so that we can get all the benefits from it. And we do that by putting a drainage plane behind it. And then we have weep holes right here. Now most of the time, the only thing that comes out of the weep holes is vapor. Most of the time you won't see it. I've seen a few events, I hope you don't. But if there's an event, water will come out. Water will come out. Now over here, again, see where the flashing comes down there in the end, and okay, there should be kick-out flashing right there. Kick-out flashing right there. Now we have a Greek arch right here, just like the Greek arch over there. We got our drainage plane all along here with the weep holes. Over the front porch, we have a metal lintel. Okay, we've modified the drainage plane. And so because of that, we've added weep holes above the front porch. And I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. Not necessary here because we have an arch. It's not a lintel. We have not modified, overly modified the drainage plane. Vinyl pane, double pane, vinyl frame windows, weep holes. Now we're not doing a wood destroying insect report, termite inspection, if you will. But where do termites live? In the ground. What do they eat? Dead wood. What's your house made out of? Dead wood. What's wood mulch? Dead wood on the ground next to your house. It's called a clue. I get it. It's attractive. People want it there. But that's conducive to wood destroying insects. That's conducive to termites specifically. Subterranean termites. It is. The drainage plane looks pretty good here. Man, they must be catching on. Must be catching on. Okay. Exterior faucet. This house has a bug system, alright? This is not a termite system. This is for spiders and cockroaches, pill bugs, those kinds of things. This is called a control joint. Some people call it expansion joints. Call it what you will. Okay? You have this much brick. We're in North Texas. It's going to move. It's going to move. So we have these control joints, just like the ones out in the street. We expect it to move. But it has a sealant in it, and this sealant needs to be resealed. This is not an expansion joint. This is not supposed to be open. These let enough moisture out because the brick lets enough moisture in. We don't need extra moisture, so every year or so you need to come around, make sure this thing's all sealed, nice and pliable and good for you like that. Going along, we got continuous soffits, and in the attic what I could see was continuous soffit vents. So that was good. Now, remember I was talking about disrupting the drainage plane with a grease plate with a oh, with the lintel board. Okay, we got a weep hole right there, right? So come over here, look over the windows. We don't have any weep holes over our windows. We're missing our weeps. Now this is just tacky. All right, but see the siding? It's got that little trim board up there, that little freeze board. See, it comes over there and see the roof. Look at all that big old gap. Look at that. That's not good. That's not good for energy efficiency. That's not good for aesthetics. You come out here, you sit on your new porch. You're gonna have a chair here and a chair here, and whoever's sitting here is not gonna be able to look at you. They're gonna be looking at that. I know, that's the way my friends act. Coming on along. Now, this wall gets kind of exciting. This is a vertical casement. This is a horizontal casement around the windows. A horizontal casement up here, look at that. It looks like a beaver chewed that. It does. I've seen them work. And then these windows. Okay, these are in brickwork. These are in siding. Windows installed into siding should have Z-bar flashing over them to divert the water out from away from the house. These gaps between these two windows, there's a trough up there just willing to accept water. I've got a little bit of it noted on my roof inspection. You already saw probably the 2 videos ahead of time. This is the window when I went up to take a look at the roof. This is the window I use. This is the trough. Look at that. That is shameful. Now, I'm not here to shame the builder. I shouldn't do that. Get off of that, bud. But you know what? It's called pride and workmanship. It's called in a good and workmanlike manner. And that's, that just astounds me. Now, these butt seams, all right, I can't tell if they were primed or not because they've been sealed up. Okay, that's a good thing. But you know what I don't see behind them? I don't see any flashing tape. There isn't any flashing tape. There's supposed to be flashing tape behind all of the butt seams on the siding. I didn't make that up. I didn't wake up and say, you know what, I think I'm going to dream up flashing tape. I didn't dream that up. And I sure did not. And then look at the trim around here. That's your fresh air induction vent fan. And then look at the gap over here. Think water can get in there? I do. I think water can pour in there. Where's it going to go? In your wall. It's going to go in your wall. That's where it's going to go. It's going to go in your wall. Oh, okay. It's going to go in the wall right there. It goes right in there. That's where it goes in the wall. All right. Well, that'll look good on the other side. Now, in different parts of the country, fresh air induction fans. All right. And this one should be cleaned up a little bit. That wasn't okay. In different parts, screens are prohibited. All right, because driving freezing rain could clog up in that, freeze over, starve your furnace. We don't have that problem here. Our problem is with birds. So most of the municipalities here require those screens. I'm sure this municipality also requires a screen. So the screen, in this case, maybe not in New Jersey, maybe not in Michigan, but here we want a screen. So that's a good thing. And this window is just another. The difference between this window and this window is this one has an extra bonus feature called an overcut. Right in there, they got this big old hairy notch, this big old pimple on the nose. The big booger hanging out right there. There's a booger, all right. You look up booger and you Google images looking for a booger. There's going to have a picture of that. And then again, we got the trough. It's cut wrong. You know, this window is just installed wrong. These two windows were installed wrong. There's just no other way around it. I haven't checked this faucet yet. Let me get this back down here in a little bit. Alright. That's the weather sensor for your lawn sprinkler system. Now this clothes dryer comes out and it's on the other side of the wall, so it just makes a U right here. And where I'm going with that is that it's not required to be labeled for the length because it's just not long enough. It's just a short hose, so it's not labeled. I'll mention that it's not labeled, but it's not required. It's not required. The labeling is not required. The vent's required. The vent's required. Just like that screen is required. I don't know what's falling off for. This is another control joint. We talked about this already. You haven't seen it yet, but that's your secondary drain line for your cooling system. We're all on the east side of the house now. We're missing our screen. Double pane vinyl frame, UV, that's good. Now here's an interesting thing about these windows is they have weeps right here. They're designed so that water can come in and come out, and that's what those little holes are for, and they belong on the bottom, and that's what we got these things for. Now they do have these little things, and I don't know, you want to look at the window manufacturer, you want to get all this stuff cleaned out of here. That's just ridiculous. Alright, is that going to drain like it's supposed to? Do you really think it's going to drain like it's supposed to? I don't. I don't think it's going to drain like it's supposed to at all. Alright, they also sell these little weirs that fit inside of there, but I don't think this window was designed to have weirs. Some of them are, so you might want to look at the window manufacturer. In fact, I'll just say that right now. How about this is my method? Okay, check with the window manufacturer about whether weirs are supposed to be installed in these windows weeps. The windows along the east side of the house, the window frames are full of brick mortar and will not drain properly. And they won't. Now coming along here, I'm going to go for a roofing thing, you know, this is the control joint, but right here you see the roof covering coming over the edge and that little metal strip before you get to the fascia board, and then you get the perforated soffit for the vents, and then you got the freeze board. But backing up past the freeze board, past the perforated soffits, past the fascia to the metal between the fascia and the metal strip and the roof covering. Okay, that is edge flashing. In this case, it's drip edge flashing. And edge flashing is not supposed to be lapped less than 2 inches. 2 inches minimum lap for edge flashing. And that looks like it's cutting it awful close. I don't think that's 2 inches. I do not think that's 2 inches at all. Is the building going to fall down because of that? I doubt it. This one looks like it's about 2 inches. Alright. Probably not fall down. Too bad, too fast. Moving on along. Just gonna see what we got here. And some of this is going to be redundant. You're going to see some of this mentioned, you know, in the electric section, other sections, roofing. You've already seen that. Got a big old gap here. Look at that. There's a lot of water inside this cabinet. This is the main disconnect, the emergency disconnect. Somebody from the outside can get to that. Water heater, excuse me, the gas meter, alright, is bonded. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. I'm bragging about that. Moving on along. I'm just imagining my client was here with the blue tape, and I agree with them. Look at the overspray right there. The overspray on the brick. There was no reason for that. Really, there was no reason for that. Then, on this garage door casement, it's too close. It's supposed to have a 2-inch gap. Sometimes I cut them back at 45s. And then the casement right there, that's called a stop. See how close that is to the garage floor? It's all too close. Too close to the garage floor. Move along, and then we're right back where we're at. Okay, where we started. And I'd like to while I'm here, I'd like to pick up a couple spares. And one of them is the foundation perimeter. Okay, has been parged. It has a parge coat. It's like a cake frosting. Just because the parge coat's cracked, I didn't see any. Just because it's cracked doesn't mean your foundation's cracked. And just because it's not cracked doesn't mean your foundation is not cracked. It's mostly an aesthetic issue. It can cause, statistically the odds are pretty low, but It can cause cavities between the parge coat and the actual foundation, and termites can use that as an advantage to come into the house undetected. You're going to see cracks develop along the corners here, the span of a hand going back in that direction. That's not a foundation issue. It's not a foundation issue. It might be a brick issue because it holds up the brick right there. But the brick and the foundation grow and shrink and expand and contract at different rates along the timeline of the home because the materials are different. Brick actually grows, you'll never be able to measure it. Foundation actually shrinks, you'll never be able to measure that. But the pressure is real. And then humidity, moisture in the ground, temperature, even wind will cause the brick and the cement to expand and contract at different rates as well. The pressure always comes out at the corners, and you get those little cracks that are kind of annoying. Speaking of cracks and kind of annoying, here we are in the garage, and I saw some smaller cracks on the patio, but I thought I remembered seeing some cracks in here. So let's see. There we go. There we go. Now, if all I have is guidelines, I'm a home inspector. All I have is guidelines. But one of them is the crack wider than 1/32 of an inch? No. Another one is there two areas where the crack is wider than 1/32 of an inch? Well, there's not one. Okay, you should try to get 3 out of 4. Does it peter out towards the end? Yes, it does. That's a good thing. All right. And is it out of plane? Is it out of plane? No. So the builder will tell you, he's got this joke, he says, concrete does two things, it gets hard and cracks. But you know, he's right. You know, he's right. There's some truth to that builder joke. Now, should you monitor these? Yeah. You want to keep an eye on them? Sure. Your neighbors aren't going to come over here and say like, oh, you've got those normal cracks. We don't have those normal cracks. I wish we had normal cracks like you've got. You're not going to hear that. It'd be better if there wasn't a crack in here at all. I get that. But in the meantime, it's the material. Architecture's regional. At this point in time, these cracks are not an issue. Okay? If they change, then my opinion will change at that time, but not until that time. A tree shouldn't be closer than 25 feet to a foundation to allow for root growth in the tree. And I get that. Every single house has a tree. You probably got a homeowners association that mandates that you have a tree. Removing the tree might not even be an option. But just know that the tree's too close to the house.